I want to pull up this this story right here. Story. I want to look at this email that you've shown me.
Yeah.
The Daily Wire tried poaching one of your employees, and what would make this significant is if this happened after your negotiations.
Yes, it did.
Okay, so after you're talking,
and it's not the first time that this has happened.
But real quick. After you were talking with the Daily Wire about potentially doing a deal, they reach out to your employees. And I'm looking at the email right here saying that, they came across the social media manager. Yeah. Hey, they got a great opportunity. Join the new counterculture. It says they emailed your staff and said, come work for us instead.
Right.
That does not sound like something a friend would do.
No, and the only reason I'm showing you that is I'm not going to be showing receipts from third parties who are blameless victims, right? Gary said you can show that. He came right to me and said, hey, look, this came up. I said, hey, they'll probably offer you more money, and I'll write you a letter of recommendation. He said, no, I know you guys want to be monetized. And the issue that took place in the conversation, it might even be the one that you saw where I said, they're like, well, we do have a social media department. I said, well, we do it here. That was the one thing that we talked about maybe splitting, I think, at some point. And I said, I have Gary, and he's awesome. So he was named.
How long after you did that call about the term sheet did they send this email?
I don't know the day. I know it was definitely after the talks completely fell through. So you probably have the timeline, but what happened is there was a week where the election happened, right? Rumble, because we were banned from YouTube going into the election, which I'm sure was a chance, just happenstance. And then we did that, and I thought I was really kind of securing the future, for my children. Because I'm like, okay, there are other players in this space. People kind of know I'm a free agent. Our performance on election night is going to be big because last time it was the biggest election stream ever, right? It was like 16, 17 million people across the platforms. We're only doing it on Rumble. So wanted to do that, and I was really nervous. Okay, it went well. Then I did 2 shows at the Ryman, the original Grand Ole Opry in Nashville. And some Daily Wire people came out, and the shows went really well. I mean, if people need, eventually I'll release a special, but if people need to see the clips, standing out to both shows. And Dave was there and did fantastically well too. And you think, okay, you can't do any better.
Ruben?
No, it was just me and Dave.
Oh, Dave Landau.
Dave Landau, yeah.
Oh, right.
No. Yeah. I guess it could have been Ruben. I guess he does comedy stuff with Peterson. Yeah, Landau. And then after
you gave me that look.
No. I was just very confused. I thought that there were hallucinogens in here from because that's the first thing he asked me. He's like, "Have you ever taken hallucinogens?"
Said it wasn't in there.
Then after that,
trusted you.
So
after that, we'd had those conversations about this. These are the sticking points, right? And please, we got to figure out a better way to do this because it stifles the movement. After that, it was. Yeah, we're not going to be able to come to any kind of terms. And that was for sure after that conversation. I made one final plea.
After that conversation.
Final plea, and that called take me off the table. Promise me you won't do it to other people. And the question is, look, was your understanding when you invest money, when you subscribe, was your understanding that all conservative talent out there, nearly all, are penalized if they're demonetized? Was that your understanding? Was that your understanding that then they are penalized if they are suspended? Then they are penalized if they don't take as many lives? Was that your understanding when you were investing in people going out there and fighting for you? Because I know the feedback that I get at these live shows with thousands of people at every event. And it's not a hard-earned dollar that I take lightly. People feel powerless. They say there's only so much I can do. At least that guy can go out and fight for me. And I'd like it to be these guys and girls, not a guy.
And for context, too, it's very important. These fees pertain to strikes and bannings on the major big tech platforms, irrespective of your viewership on the alternatives. We're all trying to help.
Or subscribership.
Or subscribers or sponsors. And it's demonetization too.
That's here's an important picture that should be painted. A lot of people are saying, Crowder, you recorded Jeremy. That's not what friends do. They're surprised by it. But here's what I'm seeing now. And, putting myself in the middle of this.
You're always in the middle of it,
too. Of course, that's what I do, right? But look, you go to the Daily Wire.
Phil, no, your term sheet. Okay.
You go to the Daily Wire. They say, here's a term sheet. You go, whoa, this is crazy. Right. Hey, you can't do this. The Daily Wire then says, all of a sudden, but a few months later, Crowder registers Stop Big Con. Then he calls and secretly records Jeremy. He was setting us up. This email right here paints a different picture in that you talked with the Daily Wire and said, here's our issue, here's what we can't do. And they said, okay. And then sometime later, they try poaching.
No, they said, if that's the issue, this is our business model, and you don't know business.
But then they try and poach one of your employees. One of your...
And that could be an accident, but it's not the first time.
Yeah.
Well, but you said, you didn't mention him by name. And
Gary,
employee poaching is considered vulture-ish as it is, but it is business.
And by the way, there's a huge difference between employees reaching out to you in a company and you fielding
you're
it,
available.
which happens, versus going to someone who is clearly not available, who was mentioned by name. Saying this guy is awesome. And Gary's hilarious because he's Russian. He was born and raised in Russia until he was 13, but he seems totally American. No accent. But then occasionally you realize like he'll say something out of context, like I can kill two birds and get stoned or something.
That's me. But I'm Polish.
Mixed metaphors.
So were you raised in Poland?
Yes.
Okay, so there you go. No one would guess.
They call him Lucas.
So those first few years, did you have those disconnects where people are like, "Are you not?" And you're like, "I don't understand whatever."
First few years, he still does it.
I still
Does he
do it
still
all the
do
time.
it?
Yeah, all the time. It's just,
But look. This is the point I'm trying to make. The picture painted so far was that you all of a sudden set up this plan to get the Daily Wire, and they were blindsided by it. But it actually seems like now there was a bit of a back and forth in that you said, "Hey guys, I don't like this." Then they say, "Well, that's a business." Then they try to poach one of your employees. Then you're like, "Okay, this is." It sounds like
it's been going on for years.
But
everyone in the space knows it. Everyone in the space knows it.
This is not an issue of they had a polite conversation with you and said, "We're sorry, we disagree," and then you devised a plan to come after them. There was then the Daily Wire comes and tries to poach an employee. Then you guys are like, these kind of business practices can't continue.
And it was always about the terms, and it's stupid to say that this was our plan to get subscribers. I'm sorry. Like, I get a little bit pissed off with this because that means that you didn't pay any attention at all to Mug Club Forever. That was us getting in touch with our subscribers and making sure that whatever home we went to on our own with somebody else, we were going to have access to the people that paid for our content. This was not a plan that was hatched to make sure that we could ride off into freedom and do whatever the hell we wanted with this really great email list.
It would be the hardest way
for that. And we said it.
Yeah.
It was clear.
And you saw the numbers there.
It sounds like you guys are like right on the precipice of creating your own network or your own website where people pay you $10 a month and just get access to that.
And I really don't want to have to do that. Like, here's the thing, right? Wouldn't it be great if you could link arms with the self-professed, most powerful people on our side who are supposedly fighting for us? But the problem is when they say, we have no interest in doing that, you go, wait, hold on a second. Here's the good news. I bring tidings of great joy. We can get just as many viewers on Rumble as you can on YouTube. And by the way, stay on YouTube, but just don't punish conservatives for being demonetized. They go, this is the business. We know. No one else does. I don't want to start a network.
If you guys could counteroffer, what would be the things you would counteroffer right now? What deal would you guys take from a big company? Let's not just say the Daily Wire. Let's just say there's another company. What's your ideal deal?
Gerald can take. Here's the problem. Yeah. I would take a deal. I would have taken a deal that was less money, and more honest, and more freedom, and not penalizing other people. He steps in because I'm like, yeah, it sounds like good money. He's like, you don't know what our expenses are, Gio. I'm like, I don't know, Gerald. You tell me.
There are a lot of different terms that you would have to negotiate, and this has been the sticking point from the very beginning. And it kind of goes back to something that you said about Candace getting these questions. Can I grab another water? It is just 100%. You don't start with these terms in the contract. Again, it was like, oh, it's a term sheet, negotiate. Of course, we negotiate. I've been doing that. I understand that is part of the process. That's what you do in these things. But if you're going to start there and we say, hey, that's not something that should be in this movement, and you're like, well, we're not coming back to the table. By the way, after the Ryman, we were expecting them to come back and have changed that and made an offer that we could then start negotiating from. That never happened.
So this is the term sheet right here. I've got it. Mm-hmm. This is the whole thing.
Is that the first one?
I don't know.
That one that was sent, I guess, October 5th.
It says non-binding term sheet, confidential. It does say.
The only one?
No. I got to point out for you, Stephen. It says if any of the major platforms issue a strike, you would have the fee reduced. It gives examples of the major platforms are. I'm assuming that's not limited to. In which case, it looks like they're basically saying what at their discretion they determine what a major platform is.
Yes.
And then, so if Twitter gave you a suspension, they dock your fee by 25%, even though Twitter is not a major driver of platform or host.
Right.
But you know what the good news is? Could have been clarified and put in writing. Never was.
No. And by the way, I said that the first one because that didn't look like the Daily Wire one that you were holding. I was like, did you get an offer from somebody else?
No. That's because I think we did reader view or some shit.
By the way, do me a favor. I just need to understand this because one of the arguments that was put forth is, well, this is just a standard starting point for everybody. Okay.
I don't play those games. I don't do that.
Hold on. No, but it's not just a term sheet. It's not just a term sheet. Everybody else, their production comes out of you. You knew Steven well enough to know that he had his own production team, and therefore the costs would be borne by him, but everything else was just standard. And our apologies for leaving it in there, because that was one of the claims that was made. This is just the standard contract, negotiating start point of term sheet that we always give to everybody. Right. It's like, yeah, but you knew Steven well enough to know he did all of his production, but then you're saying the rest of that was just standard. It's a production
company. It's a production house, right? It's everything. It's 25 employees.
It's just disingenuous, guys. It's not real.
Well, do they not know better, or is it dishonest? Let me ask you this. Do you really think I will say this. The only thing I've said about Ben is brilliant. He's one of the smartest people I've ever known. I don't care what he says, okay? I still hope the best for the guy. And by the way, for people out there, and I know that they're anti-Semitic people, I've not said there's none of this controlled opposition. I 100% believe that Ben believes what he says, even if we disagree. None of that is taking place. The problem is when you demand that other people fall into line. But do you really believe for a second that Ben is so ignorant that he thinks that's $50 million a year in my pocket basketball money? Do you think Ben believes that?
He knows better.
Yeah, he said that. Is that honest?
Yep.
Is that honest? Now, if someone did that with you and said, Tim Pool is a money-grubbing prick, and we offered him basketball money, and someone came out and called you a little bitch, right? and that literally happened, and you had the ability to say, and you'd seen this happen to other people behind the scenes for years, and you said, that's not going to be me. You had the ability to prove that it was verifiably false, which no one is arguing. Would you do it?
Of course. Granted, I think there's a tactical difference between us as well in that I think you play warrior and I play rogue. Again, over your heads, but Ian's sitting there going like, right.
I do have an original copy of Chrono Trigger. So.
I mean, hell yeah, dog.
Yes.
I would just put...
by the way, he met a girl who grew up on my block. Apparently I have her copy from Super Nintendo, like Star Wars Return of the Jedi.
Yes, Elaine Stokes. Yeah,
she didn't speak a word of English when I knew her when she was young.
She's been holding on to that for a little while.
Okay, sorry. It's crazy. Small world.
30 years.
My strategy would have been to poop on the contract, just being totally transparent and honest here.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.